Hey there, I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and yeah, new set for a busy week, and it's a Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. This is the first truly turbulent week of the Billboard year in 2026, which, in case you forgot, because Billboard's internal year tracking is tied to their awards ceremony, which nobody cares about, instead of something that's somewhat consistent year over year. We're now 6 weeks in, but it wasn't surprising as to why it was turbulent. Summer Walker got the expected album bomb, along with more album impact from NF, who, quite frankly, I've forgotten about the past couple of years, and wasn't exactly looking forward to the reminder. He's not in album bomb territory, more's the pity, but it does mean this could wind up going long with all the expected fluctuations, plus more holiday music, so yeah, strap in. But first, our top 10, where for another week, The Fate of Ophelia by Taylor Swift has the number 1, and at this point, we're just waiting for the holiday music to unseat her. Yeah, the radio and sales momentum are slowing, but she still has both alongside the top spot in streaming. I don't see what the immediate challenger to her is besides Mariah Carey, especially since Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters is still holding at number 2 thanks to streaming, but the radio is really shaky. I don't see it having much more gas in the long term. Similar case for Ordinary by Alex Warren at number 3, which has residual streaming and the top spot on the radio still, but it is bleeding fast there. It should open the door for Man I Need by Olivia Dean at number 4. The radio margins are shrinking and she's got the streams, but with holiday music right around the corner, it might just be too little, too late. Either way, she handily beat out Opalite by Taylor Swift at number 5, where the radio is just not moving nearly fast enough to close that streaming gap. And then we got Mutt by Leon Thomas rising up to number 6. It's pretty much on a last-ditch push on just radio, but it was enough to shove back Daisies by Justin Bieber at number 7, as that song is bleeding airplay and fast, and that's basically all it's got. But holiday music's now here in full swing, so as I expected, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey, it's back in the top 10 at number 8 thanks predominantly to streaming, and as soon as December and holiday radio rolls around, it's gonna go back to the top as expected. Hey Billboard, wanna try your recurrency rules for holiday music? At least make it a bit of a challenge for her this year? Unsurprisingly, it beat out Folded by Kehlani at number 9. It had a good week on the radio, just not enough forward momentum in any other channel, especially with some streaming losses, and I Got Better by Morgan Wallen at number 10. Well, I'll be stunned if this is in the top 10 next week. It is bleeding hard across the board. And that naturally takes us to our losers and dropouts, where in an album bomb week plus the holidays, we got a significant number of both. The biggest exits, they were tied to K-pop Demon Hunters, not exactly surprising, with both Free and Takedown exiting naturally, alongside Twice's version of the latter and Strategy to boot, and I don't know, throw in Heart of Stone by Jelly Roll for good measure. Now what's more revealing to me are the swath of losers we have, because there's a lot, and let's start off with Taylor Swift. Elizabeth Taylor at 28, Wishlist at 44, Father Figure at 46, The Life of a Showgirl with Sabrina Carpenter at 64, Ruin the Friendship at 76, Wood at 77, Actually Romantic at 78, Eldest Daughter at 81, and Cancelled at 89. Then we got the continued K-pop Demon Hunters losses with What It Sounds Like down to 42, the continued losses for Lady Gaga with The Dead Dance at 90, and off the debut, the cover of Traveling Soldier by Cody Johnson and his band at 25. The rest, though, they're really all over the place. From hip-hop, Shot Callin' by Youngboy Never Broke Again hit 61, Went Legit by G Herbo hit 84, Safe by Cardi B and Kehlani hit 87, I guess Jealous Type by Doja Cat is close enough at 67. And then from country, we got Days Like These by Luke Combs at 94, Amen by Shabuzi and Jelly Roll at 95. Hey Billboard, those recurrency rules, when the song loses over 10 spots, you're really just gonna rely on pitiful radio gains to keep it around? Really? And How Far Does a Goodbye Go by Jason Aldean at 100. Finally, the rest. Dracula by Tame Impala losing any Halloween bump at 53. Sparks by Coldplay at 88. When Did You Get Hot by Sabrina Carpenter at 91. And Camera by Ed Sheeran at 93. So that's a lot. What's going to fill in the gaps besides the album bombs? Well, let's start off with the holiday music, because in our returns and gains, we got a lot of it. In our returns, it's literally the entire group, with Let It Snow from Dean Martin at 34, Sleigh Ride by the Ronettes at 37, A Holly Jolly Christmas by Burl Ives at 40, Christmas Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love at 48, and Feliz Navidad by Jose Feliciano at 49. And it's all over the gains too. As expected, Santa Tell Me by Ariana Grande is at 19, Underneath the Tree by Kelly Clarkson at 27, The Christmas Song by Nat King Cole's at 29, It's the Most Wonderful Time by Andy Williams at 30, It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas by Michael Bublé at 32. Again, it's not going anywhere. But outside of those, well, credit to Olivia Dean. So Easy to Fall in Love is making one hell of a push at 18, and a couple minutes is up to 55. She's not going down without a fight. Alongside Time by Cardi B being pushed to 66 is the obvious fan favorite. But the one song here I haven't actually talked about is Where Is My Husband by Ray, up to 47. Ironically, it debuted when I was on my honeymoon, and chalk this up to some big streaming, as it's this big brassy throwback jazz number where I like the more frenetic drums, and Ray's a pretty expressive performer. But when you see this song's all about her pleading for the future husband who hasn't shown up yet, as she can't go on living on this night, well, see the arc of escapism, and then factor in all the gospel vocal runs, there's this panicky insecurity and conservative undercurrent. It's not quite Meghan Trainor's Dear Future Husband, but it's a little bit closer than it should be. Given the streaming traction it has, not radio. Look, even as a married man, I can't say I love all the implications there. And rather than unpack all of that, the episode's long enough as it is, we are just in small album bomb territory for Summer Walker, so the songs that are neither the best, the worst, nor inside the top 40. Well, here's what we got. Baller with GloRilla, Monalea, and Sexyy Red at 96. 1-800 Heartbreak with Anderson .Paak. Why the hell did you have him delivering a sleazy rap verse instead of sing, but for the last couple of lines? Then No at 69. Go Girl with Latto and Doja Cat at 60. How Doja Cat winds up with the sloppiest performance here has to be heard to be believed. And Robbed You with Mariah the Scientist at 58, which might have been the strongest entry there if the vocal mixing didn't sound so goddamn canned. The complicated venom from both women lands well, I just wish it was produced better. But now for the rest of our new arrivals. Again, we got a solid number here, folks, and we have to start with a little bit of a curveball. Number 98, Losing Streak by Blake Roman.
Since Lady Luck kissed you, still you listen for her song and pray that she missed you.
Yes, this is what you think it is. Quite frankly, I'm a little bit shocked we haven't talked about this before now, given how often it's charted elsewhere around the world. Now, for those of you who mercifully don't know, this is tied to Hazbin Hotel, an animated series that's now launching its second season with a pretty stacked voice cast. And can you tell I'm not at all impressed with this? There's a larger conversation about the flanderization of the occult and demonology and such that would take a lot more than this video to unpack. As a longtime D&D nerd, I don't think I've got room to talk, but there is layers to this, especially when it falls into this manic, oversaturated, Hot Topic-esque musical cartoon. It just carries no gravitas to me, and that feels like it's really missing something. So naturally, the song that charts is a slow, piano-driven, jazzy number with Blake Roman's character Angel Dust in drag, a slow jab at gamblers who constantly seek the next high with a bunch of double entendres that relate to the show's plot. I guess it's fine, but it's not even 2 minutes long and just doesn't really stick out. Kind of tepid, and sure, there's probably a bunch of context that gives this a lot more impact if you like the show, but it doesn't have any teeth. I'm not sure I need to care more about this. All I'm saying. Number 97, Let Alone the One You Love by Olivia Dean.
Wouldn't try to keep me small. Who would do that to a friend, let alone the one you love?
Okay, of the deep cuts going viral from Olivia Dean, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised that this would eventually wind up here, given she also performed it on SNL, but I still kinda am. The soft-focused, soulful waltz cadence with the supple bass and piano flutters, the horn accents on the post-chorus, especially with her throatier delivery and the choral punch-ins around the hook, it's probably the closest to an Adele song on that album. Hell, even the lyrics kind of fit in that territory. A slow burn kiss-off of a guy who, despite everything she has done for him will not do the same for her, instead trying to keep her small. And what works is that the song's not even angry or bitter, it's just sad and exhausted because she does love him, then she's got to make the hard choice and move on. Heartbreak's just kind of part of the territory there. Not remotely my favorite song on the album. Feels a little bit too easy coming from Olivia Dean, especially with no bridge after the second hook. Could have used a little more, but it is still credible. If she's gonna get more crossing over, I don't mind this at all. Worth hearing. Number 86, Home by NF.
Tomorrow to say hi. We could play cards till midnight. This ain't the end, you're not gone. You just found a new place to go.
This is the sort of song that feels on some level impossible to review, because it's a song dedicated to NF's late grandmother about how he's expressing his grief knowing that she's up in heaven, and what the hell can I even say where it's going to be taken in good faith? Everyone grieves differently, even if you're selling it. So I can argue that it sounds painfully rickety with the brittle acoustic guitar and the ponderous keys and the swells of strings, and that NF's voice is creaky and weak even before he starts trying to sing. That's all way too compressed to express any intimacy. It breaks out the mix. Then the lyrics feel more broadly sketched and clunky. But grief doesn't often come in neat packages, and every flaw I'm identifying to others, it'll say that's part of its power. But truthfully, it's not bad by any means. It just doesn't remotely hit for me the way it should. But I get the feeling NF might want me to continue down this path, because number 85, Give Me a Reason by NF.
I need somebody to wake at the beast and really get under my skin. I need somebody to push me, tell me that I ain't no good with the pen. I need somebody to poke and pry and really get into my head.
So the biggest critique I've had of this guy for years now is that he's broadly not interesting. So much overblown yet colorless bombast that can't hide how empty his bars and introspection actually are. So in the dark swerve of this EP, he seems to be looking forward some of that downward spiral for someone to call him out for his flavorless bullshit. Get him back to basics so he can get that hunger, grind his way up again, because he sure isn't hell happy on top. And paradoxically, maybe it was the confrontational side of me who wanted to cut his bombast down several pegs for the recovery era Eminem ripoff that he is. But knowing what I would say would actually be playing the devil kind of helped me respect him a little bit more, alongside the eerie keys and rickety trap punch that actually adds some muscle and forward momentum to this project. Granted, the hook is watery and gutless and can't pay off any of the crescendos on the verses, and anyone who says they want all the backlash tend not to take any of the punch that well. There is a certain privilege in assuming that you can do it all again and take that punch, but I'd rather NF actually make this sort of material than mopey sad boy stuff. Trust me, we'll get to why soon, but otherwise, it's decent, I guess. Number 79, FMT by Summer Walker.
He will never treat me right, no, 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 so fuck my type, so I'm trading a broken heart for a good life.
So maybe it's not a good thing that the first thought I had hearing this from Summer Walker is, man, it reminds me of SZA. Seriously, go listen to the watery guitar textures of Nobody Gets Me and then go back to this. It's way closer than you think. But Summer Walker with more organic mix is the direction I've been looking for her to go for years now. And with the strings, accent, and production and more balanced vocal mix, all it would need to sell it properly is the content, and honestly, I think she really gets there. I really like the self-awareness to look at the string of guys who have treated her badly as her type, and instead fuck them, go for a nice guy who might actually treat her well for a good life, but it doesn't feel real. And she kind of knows that. And there's a real tragedy at the core of this, where she knows finding that nice dude so she can level up will make everyone in her life happy and proud, but for her it would be a lie, feel empty in comparison with all the messy dudes that she's actually loved. There's a deeper pathology here. And while part of the song is supposed to sound triumphant and growing to find someone who loves her more, the uncertainty of what that means, what it is compared to what she knows, that's got some teeth to it. So I can't believe I'm gonna say it, but Summer Walker absolutely knocked this out of the park. Legit great song. You should absolutely hear it. Unlike number 70, Sorry by NF featuring James Arthur.
Talk to you and say I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Be honest, do even the more sentimental, this is deep man, NF fans really want to hear this? James Arthur may have had more of a career in the UK than stateside. He was charting on the singles charts as late as 2023. They never got rid of this guy after Say You Won't Let Go, more's the pity. But his mushy baritone and NF's reedy singing that really can't sell the passion he's trying to evoke, they clash really awkwardly when you're stuck with this bargain barrel squeaky acoustic guitar and dreary piano chords and melodramatic strings, and it's barely a step away from stomp clap folk music. And a lot of the lyrics, they just dump all the shit they did in order to wreck the relationship. But hey, they're sorry. That's enough, right? This is where this sort of bombast can absolutely work against you. It feels so oversold that when NF admits to gaslighting on the very first verse, this sort of presentation, it's hard to take seriously. It's hard to believe. And as someone who can even tolerate more of this subgenre than most, yeah, don't care for this at all. As well as number 68, Baby by Summer Walker and Chris Brown.
Going through it, you give me something I don't feel with nobody. I don't know, baby, but I'ma keep it solid. I'll do whatever if you ask me. Your body on my body, make a tag team. I love the way that you address me when you undress me.
You know, just because Chris Brown's there and taking calls doesn't mean you have to put him on the song, Summer Walker. You don't need to keep prolonging his career or relevance, especially as he's got a hit right now with It Depends, and that's bad enough as it is. But this song has so many other fresh ways to piss me off. The flagrantly obvious Mariah Carey sample of Always Be My Baby, chopped to ribbons with the original sweetness muted by that keyboard line, and that cheap sounding snap alongside the bass, made worse by how compressed all the vocals sound. And who the hell thought that Chris Brown's lower register smothered in watery auto-tune was a remotely good idea? Then there's the content. Chris Brown's verse is a disaster of awful lines irregardless of context, like I crossed the line and paid the price, won't let us die. If I bust it, then I guess you bulletproof. Why are these the sentiments that you're trying to express on a love song, Chris Brown? Where on the hook you get your body on my body, make a tag team? It's jarring. Even before Summer Walker seems to profess that this guy, presumably Brown, will never steer her wrong. I think history will judge her on that. But what's most obnoxious is that Chris Brown, Summer Walker, they could have made this with anyone. It sounds so formulaic and by the numbers to a fault. The sort of bad R&B that had all those record executives side-eyeing Summer Walker. If you wanted to utilize so much of 90s R&B and this is what you're doing with it, I get the reticence. So yeah, this blows. But it's not the worst here. Number 62, Who I Was by NF and Machine Gun Kelly.
I care about love.
Yeah. Alright, turn my vocal up. And then just let it run.
At this point with MGK, I just want him to get help. It's not funny, it's not maddening. I'm looking at messy verses on Drek like this with tangible concern. It sounds like that sad boy project he attempted with even weedier guitars, and NF singing in the chipmunk voice. And his verse, it just sounds amateurish. Right from that dropped rhyme on the first 4 bars to the corny Dark Knight punchline, what tone are you going for, to the very stark Christian overtones and pleading for forgiveness, despite the strew of fuck-ups in his failed marriage, the grief and the death of his friends, the persistent drug abuse. Yeah, he's a more expressive rapper than NF, but does it honestly mean much when it sounds this clunky? NF, what tone are you even going for with the choppy burn punch-ins? And then the second half of this verse trying to go for angry bombast only for him to leave the studio backtalk in, acknowledging that he screwed up. So it's a tonal mess with none of the production to seriously save it. MGK gets none of NF's bombast. NF can't utilize MGK's better rapping or pop crossover impulses, and the song's just this miserable slog with no reason to go back. If there's a fear of returning to a bad cycle and making more music like this underscoring this EP, given how much this completely sucks, I Get It. And to finish things off, number 35, Fear by NF.
Know what's going on with me. Some days I actually think I might be schizo. Frantic, probably not, but even writing this is making me begin to spiral. Oh, God.
Okay, I can be the only one who heard this vocal affectation and heard Jack Met of AJR with vocal fry, right? NF's never been a good singer, so when you have that washed out minimalist chord punctuated with the shuddering effects, that burn break into choppy acoustics that match the severity of the track when the pianos pop up, all with these awkwardly edgy punch-ins, it's trying to come across as way more self-serious than it can credibly sell. And for the content, okay, to explain this mansion motif across NF's career, it's the house where he locked away all his trauma and memories, a metaphorical house, which he can never quite burn down, but now the manifestation of his fear has done so, and he's reclaiming it, and the self-destructive spiral begins because he's not strong enough to, as of yet, to push that fear away, shouting back to the question of whether it be God or the audience if they wanted this in comparison with his happier music. It really does prompt a certain modern 21 Pilots comparison, almost more than AJR. The Conflict has a lot of similar beats to their recent albums, but Tyler Joseph can sell it way better in content and lyrics. This just winds up underwhelming and turgid. It at least mostly sticks to the landing of what it's trying to do, but man, it really doesn't work for me in that lane. I don't see myself ever going back. I'd pass on it. And yeah, that's the week. Kind of a mess, but Summer Walker easily has got the top spot with FMT, leaving Olivia Dean to grab the honorable mention with Let Alone the One You Love. That's a really nice song. Worst of the week, Who I Was by NF and MGK, with dishonorable mention going to Baby by Summer Walker and Chris Brown. Very close with an NF tie there as well. Next week, I'm guessing a bunch of Wicked for Good, although possibly more Hasbin Hotel. Yeesh, we'll have to see. But until then, I'm Mark. You're watching Billboard Breakdown in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse. And I'll see you next time.